Montana Territory, 1875. The vast open plains stretched before Emma Ellis like a never-ending ocean of grass, golden in the waning autumn light. She clutched the letter in her hand, so tightly the paper had begun to tear at the edges. Her sister Charlotte's name was written in bold, precise script across the envelope, but Charlotte was not here. Charlotte would never be here. Emma, 22 years old with honey blonde hair that fell in soft waves past her shoulders, adjusted her simple blue calico dress and smoothed the wrinkles that had formed during the long stagecoach journey. The endless rattling had left her body sore, but it was nothing compared to the ache in her heart. Her sister had arranged everything: the correspondence, the agreement, the journey west to marry a man named Adam Caldwell. Then typhoid had taken Charlotte, leaving Emma with an impossible choice: write to inform a stranger his bride-to-be was dead, or fulfill her sister's final wish. "You're the last stop, miss," the stagecoach driver called down, interrupting her thoughts. "Welcome to Silver Creek." The small frontier town appeared to be little more than a collection of wooden buildings strung along a single dusty road. Emma had left behind Philadelphia's bustling streets and her position as a schoolteacher for this, a place where civilization seemed to hang by a thread. "I don't belong here," she whispered to herself, the words carrying her deepest fear. Since childhood, Emma had believed herself unworthy of the kind of love others found so easily. Charlotte had been the beautiful one, the charming one. Emma was merely the reliable sister, the practical one who faded into the background. Now she was about to meet a man who had chosen her sister, not her. The stagecoach lurched to a stop in front of what appeared to be the town's only hotel. As Emma descended, her legs trembling from both exhaustion and fear, she spotted a young man walking purposefully toward her. He moved with the easy confidence of someone at home in his own skin, unlike the rigid formality of Eastern gentlemen she had known. Adam Caldwell was nothing like the grizzled, weathered frontiersman she had imagined. At 25, he stood tall and lean, with broad shoulders that tapered to a narrow waist. His face was handsome, with a strong jaw softened by the hint of a dimple in his left cheek. His light brown hair caught the sunlight, and his eyes, a startling blue that reminded Emma of summer skies, widened as he approached. "Miss Ellis?" he asked, removing his hat. "Charlotte Ellis?" The moment had come. Emma swallowed hard, clutching her small valise. "Mr. Caldwell, I'm afraid I have some difficult news. I'm Emma Ellis, Charlotte's sister." Adam's expression shifted from welcoming to confused. "I don't understand. Where is Charlotte? May we speak somewhere private? It's been a very long journey." Adam led her to the hotel's small dining room, securing a table in the corner away from curious eyes. As Emma explained Charlotte's passing, she watched his face carefully, noting the genuine grief that flickered across his features even though he had never met her sister. "Charlotte wanted this match very much," Emma concluded. "In her final days, she asked me to come in her place, to tell you in person rather than in a letter. I fulfilled that promise. I'll take the next stagecoach back east." Adam studied her for a long moment. "So you came all this way just to tell me you're leaving?" Emma faltered. "Charlotte was the one who agreed to be your wife. I made no such promise." "Miss Ellis," Adam said quietly, "I've spent the last 2 years building a ranch that needs a woman's touch. I need a partner, not just a wife. The land is unforgiving out here. A man alone doesn't stand much chance." "And you believe any woman would do?" Emma asked, unable to keep the hurt from her voice. Adam's eyes flashed. "That's not what I meant. But I did choose based on letters, on character and compatibility, not just a pretty face. You and your sister shared the same upbringing, the same values." "We were nothing alike," Emma replied. "Then perhaps you should stay long enough for me to discover that for myself," Adam challenged. "1 week. That's all I ask. If you still wish to return east afterward, I'll pay your fare myself." Emma knew she should refuse, yet something in his earnest expression made her hesitate. 1 week in Silver Creek would hardly change anything. And hadn't she always played it safe? Always chosen the practical path? Perhaps, just once, she could do something unexpected. 1 week, she agreed. The next morning, Adam arrived with a wagon to take Emma to his ranch. As they left the small town behind, the vastness of the Montana landscape unfolded before them. Rolling hills covered in buffalo grass stretched to the horizon, and in the distance, The jagged peaks of mountains rose against the sky. "It's beautiful," Emma said, surprising herself with the sincerity in her voice. "It can be cruel too," Adam replied. "Winter storms that freeze cattle where they stand. Drought that turns the grass to dust. Indians who still claim this as their hunting ground. Is that why you need a wife? Someone to share the burden?" Adam's hands tightened on the reins. "A man needs more than survival out here, Miss Ellis. He needs a reason to survive." The ranch came into view as they crested a hill. A sturdy log house with a covered porch, a large barn, corral, and several outbuildings. It was modest but well built, evidence of Adam's hard work and determination. "It's not what you're used to in Philadelphia," he said, watching her reaction carefully. "It's more than I expected," Emma admitted. As the days passed, Emma found herself drawn into the rhythm of ranch life. She rose early each morning, prepared meals, and slowly began making the house her own. Adam worked from dawn until dusk, tending cattle, mending fences, and preparing for the approaching winter. On the third day, as Emma hung laundry on the line behind the house, she heard a commotion from the corral. She rushed around to find Adam attempting to break a spirited young stallion. The horse bucked wildly, nearly throwing Adam before he managed to bring it under control. "That was dangerous," Emma said when he finally dismounted, his shirt soaked with sweat. "Life out here is dangerous," Adam replied, patting the horse's neck. "You can't tame the West, Emma. You can only learn to live with it." "Is that what you believe? That everything wild must remain so?" Adam looked at her thoughtfully. "Some things are worth the effort to gentle." That evening, as they sat on the porch watching the sunset paint the sky in brilliant oranges and pinks, Adam asked about her life in Philadelphia. "I was a teacher," Emma said. "I taught young children their letters and numbers." "You miss it?" "I miss the children. But teaching was safe. Predictable." She hesitated. "After our parents died, Charlotte was the adventurous one. I was the cautious one, always afraid to take risks. Yet here you are, at the edge of civilization." Emma smiled faintly. "Here I am. Why did you really come, Emma? Was it only for Charlotte?" The question caught her off guard. "I think part of me was curious. About the life she had chosen. About you." Adam's eyes met hers, and something unspoken passed between them. For the first time, Emma wondered if perhaps she had been sent here for reasons beyond fulfilling her sister's final wish. On the fifth day, disaster struck. Emma was baking bread when she heard gunshots from the pasture. She rushed outside to see Adam riding hard toward the house, a group of men in pursuit. As he reached the yard, he leapt from his horse. "Get inside," he ordered, grabbing his rifle from the saddle. "Rustlers. They've been hitting ranches all through the territory. You can't fight them alone," Emma protested. "I don't have a choice," Adam replied grimly. "They'll take everything I've built." Before Emma could argue further, the first shots hit the side of the house. Adam pushed her toward the door, then took position behind the water trough. The rustlers, 5 men on horseback, spread out around the property. Inside, Emma paced frantically. She had never felt so helpless. Then her eye caught the shotgun mounted above the fireplace. With trembling hands, she took it down and checked that it was loaded. Charlotte would have hidden. Emma was tired of hiding. She moved to the window, took aim at the nearest rustler, and fired. The blast caught the man in the shoulder, knocking him from his horse. The distraction gave Adam the opportunity to take down another. The remaining 3, realizing they faced more resistance than expected, retreated across the pasture. When the danger had passed, Adam found Emma still clutching the shotgun, her face pale but determined. "You could have been killed," he said softly. "So could you," she replied. "I couldn't just watch." Adam took the shotgun gently from her hands. Charlotte's letters never mentioned her sister was so brave. "I wasn't. Not before coming here." Emma's voice shook. "Everything feels different out here. It's as though the person I was in Philadelphia couldn't exist in this place." That night, neither could sleep. They sat before the fire, the day's events drawing them closer together than the previous 5 days combined. "I'm sorry you had to face such danger," Adam said. "This isn't the life most women would choose." "Perhaps I'm not most women," Emma replied. "Or perhaps this life changes you." Adam reached out, his fingers brushing hers. "Tomorrow is your last day. The stage leaves at noon." Emma felt her heart constrict. "Yes. Will you be on it?" She looked into the flames, searching for answers. "I don't know. Morning came too quickly. Emma packed her valise, her movements mechanical. As she fastened the clasp, Adam appeared in the doorway. "There's something you should know," he said, his expression serious. "I wasn't completely honest with you." Emma's blood ran cold. "About what?" "About Charlotte. When her letters came, I found myself more interested in the passages where she mentioned her sister, the schoolteacher with strong opinions and a gentle heart. I wrote back asking more about you than about her. It might be why she kept writing." "That's impossible," Emma whispered. "Charlotte was beautiful, charming, and not the woman I found myself hoping to meet," Adam interrupted. "When you stepped off that stagecoach and said you were Emma, before you explained about Charlotte, for just a moment I thought my wish had somehow come true." Emma stared at him in disbelief. "Why didn't you tell me this before?" "Because you were grieving. Because you came here out of obligation, not choice. And because I wanted you to see what life could be here, with me, before I asked you to stay." "Asked me to stay?" Emma repeated. Adam moved closer, taking her hands in his. "I'm asking now, Emma. Not as Charlotte's replacement, but as yourself. Stay? Give us a chance to discover if what I felt reading about you in those letters could grow into something real." Emma looked into his eyes and saw sincerity there, and something more, a vulnerability that matched her own. All her life, she had believed herself secondary, the practical sister who would never inspire passion or devotion. Yet here was a man who had seen something in her words alone that had called to him. "I've been hiding behind Charlotte my whole life," Emma said softly, "believing I was less worthy of love, of adventure, of a full life. Coming here was the first time I've ever stepped out of her shadow." "And what did you find in the light?" Adam asked. "Myself," Emma replied, "and perhaps a place where I belong." The wagon ride to town was silent, each lost in their own thoughts. As they approached Silver Creek, Emma made her decision. "Stop," she said firmly. Adam pulled the horses to a halt, turning to her with a question in his eyes. "I don't want to catch that stagecoach," Emma said, her voice growing stronger with each word. "I want to go home, to the ranch." Adam's face broke into a smile that transformed his already handsome features. "Are you certain?" "No," Emma admitted with a laugh. "I'm terrified, but I've spent my life being careful, and what has it brought me? A small room in a boarding house and the belief that I'm unworthy of being chosen first. You chose me, Adam, before you ever met me. How could I walk away from that?" The kiss they shared was tentative at first, then grew in confidence, much like Emma herself had over the past week. When they parted, both were breathing faster. "This won't be easy," Adam warned. "Winter's coming. The rustlers might return. The land demands everything you have and then asks for more." "Nothing worthwhile comes easily," Emma replied. "I'm stronger than I knew." They were married 2 weeks later in Silver Creek's small church. The ceremony was simple, attended by the handful of neighboring ranchers and townspeople who had become curious about the Eastern woman who had chosen to stay. As they exchanged vows, Emma thought of Charlotte. There was grief still, but also gratitude. Her sister's final gift had been this chance at a new life, one Emma would never have sought for herself. That winter proved Adam right about the harshness of Montana territory. Blizzards howled around their snug cabin. Temperatures dropped so low that mercury froze in thermometers, and there were days when venturing to the barn to feed livestock required ropes tied between buildings to prevent getting lost in whiteout conditions. But the spring that followed was all the sweeter for the trials they had endured together. As new grass covered the plains and calves wobbled alongside their mothers, Emma stood on the porch of what was now truly her home, one hand resting on her slightly rounded belly. Adam came up behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist. "What are you thinking about?" "How sometimes the greatest blessings come from our deepest sorrows," she replied, leaning back against him. "I came here believing I was fulfilling Charlotte's destiny, but I found my own instead. Do you ever regret it?" Adam asked, "Trading your safe Philadelphia life for all this uncertainty?" Emma turned in his arms, looking up at the face that had become as familiar to her as her own. "The only certainty I need is this," she said, taking his hand and placing it over her heart. "Everything else we'll face together." As the sun set over the Montana plains, painting the sky in brilliant hues of gold and crimson, Emma Ellis Caldwell knew she had finally found her place in the world, not as anyone's replacement, but as herself. The frontier had not tamed her, it had revealed her. And the love she had found here was not in spite of the hardships, but stronger because of them.